how to teach kids to read. I have a few minutes. I got here to picking up my son at his sporting practice and he is not quite ready. Looks like I have about 5 to 7 minutes. And I was talking with a homeschool mom earlier this morning. Her 9-year-old is not yet getting it, not yet reading. And so I wanted to talk about how do you teach your kids to read? But it's not what you think. It doesn't matter when your kids learn to read. It's what really matters is that they love to read. I was thinking about this as I was driving here to the beautiful waterfront park, and at no point in my life has anybody ever asked me how old I was when I learned to read. And I thought, you know what else they've never asked me? They've never asked me how old I was when I got my driver's license, how old I was when I got married, etc. They just are interested that I know how to read, that I know how to drive, and whether or not I'm married. And I was thinking about this through the lens of teaching our kids how to read. And if I could go back and I could speak to my younger self, or if I could speak to any moms or dads out there that are worried that their kids are not yet reading yet, I want you to hear me clearly. It doesn't matter that they can't read at 4. Our youngest son didn't read till he was 10. But by the time he was 10, he had built a 7-foot tall paper roller coaster that he had worked out all the physics so that he could stand at the top of the stairs and drop a marble and it would go all the way through this roller coaster. He could look at something and fix it. I mean, fix it. Oh, he could break it too, but he could fix things. He was very mechanically inclined. And for him to sit still, to decode words in order for them to make sense for his very busy brain, he just wasn't on that timeline. And then this magical day happened. At some point, he was about 10. I couldn't find him. We were renting a very big house at the time, and he liked to hide from us. Youngest kids are fantastic, aren't they? So he had hidden, and I knew he was inside the house, but he wasn't responding. Stephen! Stephen! No answer. When I finally found this 10-year-old, he was giggling underneath a beanbag, and he had the dog lay on top of him so that I couldn't see him. And when I finally discovered him, I peeked over and I gasped, "My son, what are you doing?" He was sitting there with a chapter book. At 10, he had not read, except looking at picture books, he had not read a book from cover to cover until that day. And this light bulb went on and he began reading voraciously. That child reads so many books, and honestly, he does a lot of audiobooks now because he listens to them at 2 times the speed, because that's how fast his brain moves. So when you're looking at your 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and they're still not reading, I want you to take a step back and look at the rest of their life. Are they doing other things? Are they busy building, dancing, singing, playing, cooking, discovering, exploring? I'm guessing that 92.7 of you that have children that are not quite thriving in the reading department have children that are thriving in another department. So who cares? They can't read and they're 8 years old. I know there's a lot of peer pressure from society. Our kids should read by the time they're 2, right? You see all the celebrities out there with the little flashcards and their babies are like, "Oh, Pandorama. Oh, hippopotamus. Oh, extrapolate." The rest of us have very normal children. And yes, there is an average age where most kids will start to read sometime between the time they're in kindergarten and 1st grade. Some of us were early readers. My mom got in trouble way back in the, we'll just call it back in the dinosaur age. When I went to kindergarten in public school, my mom got a phone call from the kindergarten teacher. You're not supposed to have taught her how to read. Oh, yeah, my mom had a few choice words for her, but that's okay. That's a story for another day. Kids stereotypically learn to read right around kindergarten, first grade. I don't think that if you just let kids, free range, I'm not sure that most kids would just pick up books and want to read at that age. I think they're still at that age where they want to snuggle and they want to sit and listen to the story, because stories are musical and they're rhythmic and they're comforting and they're bonding time. I think if you let kids free range, they're going to be building and discovering and digging and cooking and talking and doing things with their bodies, doing things with their hands. Sitting still. When did sitting still and decoding words become a necessary thing for a 6 or 7-year-old? I just don't think that it's worth the worry. It's worth the concern. And I can see the kids are starting to come. My son happens to be the captain of the rowing team, so he will be the last man to the car. But I only have another minute or so. How do you teach your kids to read? You simply just read to them a lot. For a long time. For longer than you think you should. I recommend that you never stop reading aloud to and with your kids. I still read aloud to my kids, and my youngest is 17 and my oldest is 30, almost 30. Yes, that's real gray hair. I didn't pay for that. No, I earned that gray hair. Just read to your kids. You'll find that some kids will naturally read. They'll just pick up things. They'll pick up the phonetics. They'll pick up the arrangement of the word order, all that stuff. And some kids, it's gonna take a minute, but that's okay. They're not gonna have to pass a test at any point and say, in order for you to buy this house, you have to have empirical proof that you read before your 6th birthday. Otherwise, you simply do not qualify. That's not a real thing. They're not going to have to prove that they read by the time they were 7. Trust me, I don't want to measure the things that I can do based on what you can do, right? And you don't want to measure the success of what you do based on what I could do. It's just not the way that we're supposed to do it with our kids. Our kids need to thrive. They need to grow. They need to be loved and encouraged. Each and every one of your kids, just like mine, are going to have natural inclinations, natural abilities. Some of our kids are drawn towards things like art and music, and so they need a lot of time with paint and color. Some of our kids are drawn to things like mechanical engineering, Legos, erector sets, those kinds of things. Lots of Legos, lots of erector sets. Some of our kids are drawn to things that are alive, nature. They ask a lot of questions. And yes, our kids do need to read, but I don't want you to stress yourself out or your children out about when they read. Don't buy the lie that just because you homeschool, that your kids are not going to be successful. All 5 of my sons did not read at the stereotypical time. All 5 of them were delayed. All 5 of them. And yet they went on to thrive in life. My almost 30-year-old is a manager of a machine shop that works on those huge earth-moving vehicles. I have a son that's a screenwriter and is producing magazines for a local community. I have a son that's a master musician, another one that is a mathematician and a scientist, and this guy has dreams to go to row for the United States on the rowing team. And he's the one that didn't read until he was 10 because he was so busy. but he's the most determined individual on the planet. He's so driven, and he's so almost to the car. Don't rush your kids. Enjoy the story. It's important that they love to read. That's it. And the way that you do that is you simply read to them and with them. Oh, there's tips and tricks for how to decode words, but not until they're hungry for it, right? Anyway, that's it. My time is up. Thumbs up, comment, and let me know what you think. If you haven't hit the little bell and subscribe, I would love that. We're almost at 1,000 at the time that this video is being shot, and here comes my rower. Talk to you later. Bye.